Gentlemen, Sherdon Pierre, Terry Inniss, and the veteran Hartley Reid. Thanks for joining us here on Anything Cricket Let's Talk as we look forward to the Super 50 regional competition. Just what, 6 teams this time around, no UWI, no academy, and the action starting on Wednesday, the 19th in Trinidad. So we are in a situation where it's all happening one place. But we're going to start. I think since they're playing in Trinidad, we should start with a Trinidadian. Or maybe he believes he's Barbadian by now. So let's say a guy with Trinidadian connections. Sherdon Pierre, looking forward to the Super 50?
Yeah, Mr. Hackett. Hope all is well.
Philip is good.
Philip. um, it's always good to have regional cricket going on. We haven't had cricket since early in the year, so it's always good to something to look forward to. Quite unfortunate that there's only going to be one round and lesser teams in a very short and action-packed schedule. It's just 9 days or 10 days of cricket. Is going to be quite tasking on the players, playing one game every other day. But I guess you have no other choice with the constraints that's happening right now. So it's good. It's good to have cricket, and it's good for some youngsters to showcase themselves to to come on to become players in the West Indies team. There's the T20 World Cup coming up soon, and ODI World Cup thereafter. So there's always an opportunity to showcase your talent. And we hope we see some new talent coming through. A lot of the teams have some younger players as well, probably giving their players some chances, as well as West Indies is currently playing in New Zealand. So a lot of players are with the West Indies team. Some are in the Abu Dhabi T10. So it's an opportunity for younger players to showcase themselves.
Hartley, you're looking forward to the tournament? You are a former Barbados manager. I suppose at times like this, you maybe sometimes a bit of nostalgia. Maybe you reflect on those days when you were the manager of the Barbados team, touring around and getting some pretty good results in your day. How do you feel about this year's Super 50?
Well, when the Super 50 came about, I was actually the manager back then. It was the magical Super 50 at the time, and it was actually played in Trinidad and Tobago. So what we are seeing now, this back then we were in Queen's Park. No, I think would it be at Brian Lara Oval?
They're
But
playing
three venues.
three venues.
The Brian Lara, the Queen's Park Oval, as well as the three venues.
It is unfortunate that, as Sheridan stated, it is so compact because when you're playing 50 over games to be playing every other day, that is going to be a bit of a stretch. But having said that, Barbados normally plays well when they're playing games almost one after the other, back to back, because the break, they normally lose concentration. That's what I recognize. But it is good that we can have a regional competition going. And Sheridan made the point. The not so well known players would get an opportunity to showcase their wares, and we are hoping that we can find some hope in those chaps that who
I don't know. I don't know if Hope with any help. Because he's on duty
well, yeah.
in New Zealand, and I don't think his brother's in any of the squads. But we
Well,
hope for the best.
I didn't want to say excuse the pun, but you picked it up very quickly. But the thing is that yes, it is time we we keep saying over all the different types of media and medium that we are looking for fast bowlers. So I'm hoping that we can see some budding and promising fast bowlers. So yes, in short, I'm looking forward to the competition.
But whenever there's debate, and there's always debate around cricket, especially West Indies cricket, we are in various chats and various associations that do very little seldom talk cricket. And sometimes when you have disputes and so on, you've got to settle them in court. So we're going to go to Terry for his views on the Super 50. Court is in session, Terry.
Well done there, Philip. Right. So my thing is, do you have a tournament for having a tournament's sake? Because if it's going to become packed and it's going to be games going to come in every other day, you know you got the propensity to have injuries. But do you want to play that sort of cricket? I mean, for a regional tournament, just to say that you played it? Because, well, yeah, we want to say we expose some young people, et cetera, but is that tournament going to be the quality that you would that young people being exposed would benefit from, right? Because I mean, with all the other experienced players overseas, and you just playing against people that you play against over and over again, is that helping you? I think we have to get past in the West Indies. We have to get past just ticking off boxes. We have to make sure that when we do something, it is about quality and not just because we tick off a box.
Well, Terry, I believe that sometimes, as you said, people do something because it needs to be done. But there's some things we often say we can't afford to do this and we can't afford to do that. But there's a school of thought that goes along with that normally says you can't afford not to do something. And I really don't think that we can afford to continue to compromise cricket, regional cricket, or West Indies cricket, whether it be at the regional level or the international level. I remember when the recent former Johnny Graves, when he left office, I don't know if I was mistaken, and maybe you guys can correct me if I misunderstood him, but I'm pretty sure I heard him talking about the amount of money and so on that was left and that was available to West Indies cricket. Now, if I'm wrong and I misunderstood, I'm sure one of you or all of you would be glad to correct me. So I really don't understand the whole idea of this money thing and why all of a sudden you can't have enough money to do the things that need to be done. I find that very disturbing.
Well,
Yeah,
Philip, go
I
ahead, go
can
ahead, Sherdon.
Well, feel free
I can
to contradict me all at the same time because
no.
I was probably
I can't quote I can't quote exactly what was said, but you are along the right track. What I must say is that it's an unfortunate situation, and many times players are blamed for their lack of preparedness or lack of not talent. We always produce talent, but lack of um, playing abilities in different conditions, or batting long or bowling long spells. And the situation that we are faced with in a shortened Super 50, as well as one round of 4-day cricket, it will only add to the issues that we face, the West Indies players face. Because how could you play 5 matches, 5 ODI matches, ODI 550 over matches a year, and expect these guys to perform at the highest level against Australia, England, and some of the top players? How could you have one round of 4-day cricket and expect them to play the swinging ball in England and Australia or even New Zealand? And cricket finishes early March or thereof, and then you have these players wanting to play test cricket in June, July, August with no matches before. So we keep on shortening our formats, shortening our tournaments, and expect our players to get experience. We always complain that our players play 5 first-class cricket matches and on the West Indies team, but we even make it worse for them. And you make it worse for them, and then now you come and say they need experience. So how are they going to get experience? They don't even have experience playing against themselves.
Well, you see, the thing is though, I looking at it a different way. I look at it a different way, and maybe the cricket West Indies is getting to the point that I'm also getting to. I don't know who'll get there first. That you may not need to play the tournament at all, because when we had the 4-day competition, there was a guy called Joshua De Silva. I think his name is. You should know him well, Sherdon.
Yeah.
Okay, scored a bundle of runs. Since then, West Indies got bowled out for 27 and all sorts of scores, and you're not hearing his name anywhere in the mix up at all. So that suggests to me that performance in these competitions doesn't really matter a whole lot. And if
Well,
performance doesn't matter, then why are you playing maybe you don't need to play the competition.
well, to be honest, a lot has to say with the selection committee, or I shouldn't say selection committee, but the selector. the main and sole selector. Because if you tell someone he is not performing and to go back and perform with your national team, go back to your national team and make 500, 600 odd runs and still even get looking, vying for captaincy, one of his 6 players vying for captaincy position, and still was even included in test match. So then how could you be vying for captaincy and wasn't even included in test match? So you're telling yourself now that somebody went back to the drawing boards, did what he was supposed to do, and then someone will get picked who didn't play no for the cricket, don't play no red ball, but was selected based on merit or based on performances with the white ball. So there's always some, as a selector, you'll always get criticism. There'll always be people for you and against you, but you must have some sort of reasoning. So if someone come and say, well, so and so is the case, at least you could say, well, okay, he did X, Y, and Z. But we are seeing situations where there are no reasoning.
Well, I'll tell you something, gentlemen. In terms of this whole selection thing, the selector, Darren Sammy, yeah, I guess he would have to explain to us the situation with people like Jason Mohammed. They'll probably say he's too old. If that's the case, maybe they should put a age limit on the competition. But in terms of the survey, probably I don't know what the reason could be, but maybe it's a selectors union because I'm hearing that you can't even find the Barbados the Barbados selection panel to discuss the selection of the Barbados team. But before we get to that, um, the question with Sammy, you've got to give credit where credit is due. At least that's a good thing to do. And he has brought back John Campbell after what 6 years or so after his one international century and 6 or 7 matches that he's played for West Indies, averaging 49. And I've heard a lot of criticism of the 3-man panel, but there are many 3-man panels that overlooked John Campbell during that period of time. And I'm not talking about the period of time when he was banned. I'm talking about before that and after. So if you're going to criticize Mr. Sammy for the things that we don't like, I would like to commend him for bringing back John Campbell because, as I said, if you're going to ignore performance, then why have tournaments?
Yeah, but I keep hearing this thing about all these decisions are being data driven. I don't know which data to be looking at. That's the truth. Because a lot of the picks, a lot of the decisions being made to me are still very subjective. I can't see any. I try hard to see what is the difference between a one man that's scoring 27, got average of 20 something, and another man who got average of 20 something. I can't see the difference besides either nationality or that taller than them or either a little darker than them or something like that. It can't be the data that they're telling me that these decisions are data driven. But of course, our journalists allow them to spew that nonsense and don't even ask them what data they're using.
But Terry, sorry to interrupt, but you got to find them first, because you're talking about data. I could talk about GPS. You're a computer man, and I mean, I know you would know about GPS. Can you find the West Indies, the Barbados, chief selector for me? Can you find the Barbados head coach? Can you find the Barbados manager for me? Do we need a GPS system or something to find these people? So before they can explain things, you got to find them.
Oh, okay. Well, next time we'll invite them to court session to make sure that they, you can find them because obviously they don't want to go to the cricket shows. So they might want to get a basketball.
Well, you can probably find them at the airport as they're about to board the plane.
Yeah, but you see, our problem with this is that we have to then establish how are they in the system. They have to be owned by somebody in this region or some entity owns this cricket. And if you are a manager, coach, selector, don't care what it is, captain, the Cricket West Indies must have a protocol. This is the modern time. I will tell you, there isn't a game in America, a professional game, that the players do not, and the manager and the coach do not have to come to the press. In fact,
they will be fine. They will be fine. Yeah,
a desk is set up there, and from the time you finish and you go and rest before you can actually leave the court, a microphone is in your mouth and you have to be talking.
Yeah, true.
So why is it that we in this region, we do not mandate that as part of your retention for whatever post you are holding, you
Yeah.
must meet the press. They are shareholders, the people that who pay the money
Yeah,
to the stars. These people are more important than any other thing in the sport all over the world except the Caribbean, because it looks as if Cricket West Indies doesn't care what the supporter says, what the fan says. I like to use the word the fan, because this is who, in my view, should motivate the cricketers to perform. Before they had so much money, the cricket, a cricketer, and we're talking cricket, so a cricketer would love you to enjoy a fan
interviews, yeah.
passing him on the road, where you know who you think you're playing for. So we are doing nothing like that any longer. So we have to put the blame squarely at the feet of the persons running West Indies cricket.
Harley, be patient. I just urge you to be patient. Be patient until the next match to be played at Kensington. I'm talking about a big match, international match or regional match, and they'll come out to the woodwork and beg people to come down to Kensington and support. I guess we don't understand that people don't just get up on a given day and decide to do something. You've got to get the buy-in from the beginning. And if you are afraid of the media, and the media represents the public, because you can't expect 250,000 or 300,000 people to be firing questions at the manager, at the coach, at the captain, or whoever. So the media, which would be a lot less than that number, represent the public, because everybody in the public either reads a newspaper, goes on social media, listen to the radio, watch television. I don't think there are too many people who don't do at least one of those things. So therefore, whatever that interaction is, John Public will get to find out what it is. But so when you are running from the media, or when you decide that you're only going to talk to your friend in the media, or if you're going to talk to maybe just the government-owned station, that is being very narrow-minded, lacking in vision. And I really don't see how people lacking in vision could be managing and coaching national teams.
Yeah, as Mr. Reid stated, it should be mandated that you do some sort of interviews as well. And at the end of the day, it's like politics and sports. You know, you were elected or selected for these positions, and it's in the public domain. You know, there will be criticism, there will be praises. So some people run away from the criticism, but asking for praises. So it's it's a very thin line. It's a very thin line. But at the end of the day, it's another unfortunate situation, because doing interviews and putting out information to the public will only give the public more information. Because if you ask the population of Barbados, how many of we all know Barbados Pride is going to play in Super 15 a couple of days, 90% may not know. So this is why it's important to have these sort of interviews or the information, just to send out the information there. And then now we have lots of young players now on the team. There's an opportunity for people to know you. There's an opportunity for the public to see you. There's an opportunity for public to. I always criticize the media at times, because it don't even have to be about sports. We have some new players coming onto the team. Let the public get to know them. They may see a different side to them. You don't have to be speaking about sports. You could talk about their upbringing or some sort of stories that they're going through, whatever cases, and you tap into a different type of the population. So they wouldn't even be targeting these sporting people alone. They're talking to the entire population. I never know, sponsors may see that interview and approach you by the way you speak, the way about you carry about yourself, or about the trials that you went through, and how you're blossoming so much into a national cricketer. So there's always pros and cons, but I believe interviews and getting information out there is far more important, or there are more pros than cons in that situation. And I know there were three wise men, so I may have to take my leave now, because to continue for the wise men to continue. Before
Yeah, and let you in a minute, but just one thing I'm going to ask you before you go, but even before you said that, there's something called self-development, and Terry knows a lot about that as a
Yeah,
coach. Um,
yeah.
so if you pull one of these guys who run from the media and ask them to do a job for West Indies cricket, where there are sit-down sessions with the media after each day of a test match,
Yeah,
what's going to happen? I would think that if I am in that position, I would want to get as much practice dealing with the media, dealing
yeah,
with difficult
definitely.
media personalities who may ask me questions that may stretch me, so that if I get to be on the management team or the coaching team for a World Cup or something that I really can't hide, then I would have had the practice. So if you don't understand the concept of self-development as a manager or coach, who you're
Yeah,
coaching or who you're managing, though. I mean, like for
yeah,
yourself, those that you're leading. But before you run off, though, Sherdon, you're
yeah,
probably the one person here who knows the three venues the best. What's your take
yeah.
on the whole idea of having the tournament in Trinidad at those three venues? There may very well be other options.
Oh, I don't believe it's the first time. I believe it happened last year,
But
and then
this is probably why some people are disappointed that it happened again. But go ahead.
no, well, I guess it's the cheapest option for them,
Uh-huh.
and it's probably one of the only country that could hold the tournament in terms of expenditure,
Mm-hmm.
as well as having three not state of the art, but three not legal, but three venues that can host the tournaments. I don't know if there are other countries who can put off three venues that could host
Well,
three
I mean,
matches
come on,
at the
Shirley. You
same
don't,
point in time.
you know at least one because you live in one, and maybe you're the best person to tell us to confirm
Yeah, well,
cheaper to live in Trinidad than in Barbados then because certainly there are venues in Barbados. That's not the issue. I think one of the things that I've heard, not necessarily from the official sources, but from others, that it could be a question of cost in terms of the cost of living, in terms of
definitely. I know they mentioned in the same press conference, the CWI mentioned in terms of cost.
Mm,
It's cheaper to hold in Trinidad and Tobago, and there's only going to be one live viewing on TV. The Brian Lara game, which is the night game, will be live
mhm.
on. I don't want to quote the station because I'm not confirming, but I believe it's
Yeah.
ESPN because they talk about the production costs in terms of moving the equipment to
Very well.
different venues. So I know the Brian Lara games are shown live, and the other games probably will show on YouTube.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, respect the fact that you've got something else to do and somewhere else to be. And
No problem.
respect that to the extent that not only respect that, but happy that you could join us for the time you've been here. Thanks for sharing. We wish you all the
No
best.
problem.
Sure. I wish I could say I wish all the best to Trinidad side as well, but I like to be as honest as possible.
No problem. No problem at all.
But let's
Good
hope for good
cricket for you,
cricket.
honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
All
right. Thanks
right.
very much, guys.
Okay, cool.
Okay, good evening to you, my friend.
You too.
Yes, Hardy,
But
you're burning to say something, I can see.
oh yes, in fact, I want to take you back to when you were talking about Johnny Greer, when he was leaving, and he made the announcement of the $60 or so million in the black. But I understand that Cricket West Indies took the opportunity to pay off most of their debt with that money. So now they are back in the red. So there is no doubt if there's any truth at all to it, because it can be no truth. But if there's any truth that they would have taken the money to reduce their debt, their indebtedness, well, it is no doubt, and it's not surprising that the cricket will suffer, because Sheridan just made a declaration that floored me when he said that the games will only be aired from the live coverage or proper coverage, but ESPN with the Brian Lara, all the others will be with one or two cameras on YouTube. And if that is the case, that means what are we doing then? Because you've reduced the cricket, and you reduce the standard of the coverage. So who is going to see the cricket then? So I am at a loss as to, but then again, if one has to be honest, and you keep talking about being honest all the time, Philip, if we are being honest, this is the worst time in the history of cricket in my lifetime that I am seeing the cricket being administered at Cricket West Indies. So it does not surprise me because we are just hitting and missing and hitting. We have not done anything correctly yet. So this is just one of the other ones that we are doing. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah, one of the things that I find fairly disturbing in our cricket is that we keep saying all the time we don't have any money. And some of the things that we are really bad at you don't need a whole set of money to get right. Because we are producing players that are not adequate for international cricket. You're going to tell me that there's no way that we can have better coaching, there's no way we can have better technology at the grassroots level to be able to produce players that at least by 21, 22 could play international cricket and be able to perform like in 2 years' time, having played a couple years in national cricket. I find that, to me, I find that incongruous. It just needs that we need to think out. We can say we got to think outside the box. I think we got to find the box first before we think about it. Because I don't think that we really understand what we are doing now is not relevant for these times. And I just want to give one case in point, and I get flogged for showing data and bringing up things that people don't want to hear. But Barbados have been dominating age group cricket for the last umpteen years. If we are not in the final, we are winning. There's hardly any time in age group cricket that we were floundering. Maybe a year or so, we may have flounder a year, but we are always there and thereabouts. Yet, we have not produced a test batter with an average over 40, having played about 20 tests since the Honorable Desmond Haynes. Now, if that is not a subjective thing, that's something that anybody could go and do the research and find out. Now, if that doesn't tell you anything, then I mean we should really just dig up all the grounds plant cane or vegetables or something and done with the cricket. Because to me, that shows me without a shadow of a doubt that we have to change things. I'm not saying that we are not doing anything. I'm saying we are not doing the right things, right? And we got to really understand, if we want to excel in this, what is cricket in this world, we have to do things differently. It cannot be the same thing with how we're doing things in the 80s. And keep telling me about, back then and back then and back then. I mean, like, we used to carry canes to the factory and a donkey cart. But you don't do that now. You understand? We got some big trucks. So I mean, like, you got to be different. You got to do some other things which is relevant which is relevant to cricket and in the situation that we are in now. And I think that's where we flounder, and that's why we are here where we are. And if West Indies cricket get the most, as much money as Elon Musk, we can still flounder, because the thinking will be the same.
But you see, you have said a mouthful there, my friend, because that is what our problem is. Nobody is prepared to seriously state that cricket is no longer a game, it's a business. And that being the case, it has to be run like a business. Right now, Cricket West Indies is being run on friendship. CEO, director of cricket, manager, coach, the whole cabal. It looks bad because we do not recognize it's the business. The persons that are in charge of cricket are answerable to no one. And that being the case, even the mere fact that you are going to shut out the shareholders, the stakeholders, sorry, you're going to shut out the fans and don't even give them an opportunity to communicate. We do not have any form in this modern technical age where one doesn't have to assemble in any one spot. You have, as we are operating now, we cannot, Cricket West Indies does not have any form of webinar, seminar, nothing like that where the fans can interface with the people that who are in charge and ask any kind of question. Philip made the point. The press, they are there to recognize and to do the work of the mass people in the region. So that's what the press is there. But the press, when you do hold a press conference, there's a press agent or a media person there who will not even let you ask questions. You ask one question, you can't even get a follow-up. Look, it is so ridiculous now that I do not even watch them because we are not serious. We are just going through the motions, perfunctory exercises so that we can say, yes, there was a meet. In fact, only today, I saw in social media press conference by the batting coach. I don't even know when that was held.
The West Indies batting coach?
No idea. Yes, the West Indies batting coach. I have no idea when it was said. I don't know for sure it wasn't live because I can't remember hearing anything about it. So our entire approach and Terry was struck the nail squarely on the head. We are in a time zone, a warped time zone. We are nowhere near the 21st century when it comes to sport. So we are making sport a sport.
Well, I'll tell you something about those sanitized interviews, Hartley and Terry. Some time ago during the lockdown, maybe too strong a word, but during the heightened period of COVID consciousness, where we were submitting questions to the media person to pass on to the players. I remember submitting a question, and the question was something like this. It was in relation to Evan Lewis, who had scored, I think it was a century in that particular game. And it had been a time when he had been doing fairly well. And Mike, I wanted to ask, you've done fairly well now. You've virtually developed a consistency in scoring runs in white ball cricket. Do you have any intentions of maybe pursuing a career and extending that to red ball cricket? That was a question, and I was told by the media officer at the time that that's not an appropriate question, that we should be talking about the win today and so on. I don't think I submitted any questions after that. I would have been foolish. And, I attend sometimes out of curiosity. But again, on the same line of questions, in one of the chats that we tend to peep into, Hartley, someone made the point the other day that they're tired with the losing captain, saying the same thing over and over, that type of thing. And I my comment in response to that was that sometimes the answer that you get is based on the question that you ask. Now, I didn't check back to see how the person, if I did check back and I don't think the person followed up with a comment, but if you ask the same questions over and over, and I don't know how you expect to get a different response. And if you are only allowed to ask specific questions, then what do you expect? So it is not necessarily that I've never heard, or I've hardly ever heard, a player being interviewed for man of the match, or a captain, winning captain or losing captain, refusing to answer a question. I've hardly ever heard it. Okay, so it means that if you ask a question, you'll get some sort of response. But are you allowed to ask certain questions that will allow the captain or the vice captain to say something other than what a 6-year-old would say?
Yeah, well, then you try to control the narrative. That's what happens. And you control the narrative when you are afraid of the questions that will come. right? And if you're afraid the question of it kind of means you're doing something that you know in your heart is suspicious. Because you could ask me any question about basketball because I'm not doing anything. You could ask me any question, right? I mean, I'm not hiding anything. But if you do suspicious things and you know you can't really defend it, then you gotta have sanitized press conferences where you send the questions beforehand, you give the boy enough time to read them, and come up with an answer, and then when you ask the question, and the boy seems surprised that you asked this question, and they answer it just like how it's supposed to answer, right? So the biggest thing though for me is for us to recognize that there's a different time, and we have to do things differently. And I don't think that we have recognized that. We are just happy to. What it seems to me, I don't know anything, I don't have any imperative evidence, but what it seems to me is that people are happy with getting the perks of cricket rather than getting the cricket better, right? And the perks of cricket is seen, you get to first class, you go to all the big games, that sort of stuff, as opposed to, I am embarrassed if if my team get beat by 50. If I take a team to a tournament and they get beat by 50, you could ask me as many questions as you want. I will answer, but after that, I gonna hide in some hole or something and try to figure out why it is that we get beat by 50, right? I don't think we are embarrassed by how our cricket play, because if we were, there's some of the decisions that we've made that we would have made, right? If you look back and see how many coaches we had within the last 20 years. We almost have like 14 or 15 coaches. And why? Because we are expecting coaches to be miracle doers. I mean, like, take a man that totally flawed and make it into a world-class cricketer right in front of our eyes. I mean, the only thing is do that here, and that don't be real. Right? You understand me? Like it is not, that's not how games as professional games go. And I think that's where we losing we don't understand. And I am in some of the cricket chats one of the cricket chats that you're in, and I could see, from the comments you see that people really don't understand pro level sports. Pro level sports is not about a coach fixing somebody's flaw. That is not at pro level. Pro level sports are about tactics, strategy, mental aspect of the game, making people be able to perform at their best every single time under all sorts of conditions. It is not about a man can't play a ball and swinging or getting edge back off every night, or it can't be that. It's not that. And if it is that, then you are flawed. Your development process is ugly flawed. So Sammy will come, and unfortunately Sammy will go, right? And we will still be at the same point. And there's no amount of data-driven things that we keep talking about that will change the fact that we taking players and we are putting it in the end and hoping that they perform. I call that the best theory. Right? Yeah, you don't right. Best theory, right? You don't drown, so you're going swim. But you know what? We losing rare players because they're drowning. But they're swimming either. You go pull them out. Yeah. You understand?
That's right, the lifestyle.
But Terry, I believe though, I get you what you're saying about the high performance coaching, but I believe that professional level coaching, high performance is in relation to what I'm going to say now. You know my favorite topic, high performance, and that goes alongside that can work at any level. But it says high performance, so that should tell you about who you're targeting. You're not targeting necessarily your 13-year-old, at least not a 13-year-old primary school. Those are academies. I mean, and then there's a difference. And yes, we talk in names, but for the purpose of understanding where I'm coming from, I would like to establish that I see a difference between an academy and a high performance program. An academy, to my mind, is virtually more like something that a process. Everybody goes. Well, most everybody is supposed to go to nursery school, primary school, secondary school, tertiary. And then after that, then that may differ because some people go to university, some may go to community college, some may go into some special secretarial school. You get where I'm coming from. And I would put the high performance program more along that line. So it works alongside the pro. So your head coach of the team, I agree with you, even your batting coach, is not necessarily there to show a fella how to play an outswing, but maybe to look at how the batsman need to approach a particular situation, meeting certain targets, etc., etc., etc. But in there, you will get a guy who sometimes is off technically. I like to use the example of George Headley so many years ago, where he was weak on one side, got a bundle of runs, but then the Aussies realized it, the ball on the other side, and then he had to go back into the nets and use the practice games, and I had a lot of them in those days on tour, right? And by the time the tour was finished, he was actually stronger on what was once the weaker side and scoring runs again. And that's one of the problems with these tours nowadays. You don't really have time to do that sort of thing. But back to my performance thing. So when you fall into that sort of situation where something isn't working, that's where your high performance program can step in. But I would agree with you that that's not the task of the head coach. What the head coach can do is facilitate that. So that may mean sending a guy from here to a park half mile down the road to work with somebody. It may mean sending them halfway across the world to work with a particular person. It may mean a Zoom or some sort of remote connection to work with somebody. In other words, there'll be different solutions for different people for different problems at different times. And you actually address these problems. Meanwhile, the cricket is being played and your head coach is dealing with the match situation. So that's how I see the high performance program fitting into there. I know we don't have the effective, and that's why I put in the word effective. Somebody will tell me, well, they did this with this body or they did that. But when they come back to the test arena or the one day international to the international arena, they're doing the same thing that we're doing before. It can be effective.
Yeah, because it is about time, Philip, right? If you want to dominate cricket, say you want to dominate cricket, how you dominated in the 80s, and the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, and up to 1992, 93. What we have to do is we have to start working on the 13-year-olds that you're just talking about. Those are the people that will dominate cricket. However, we cannot wait on those 13-year-olds to get to the point where they can dominate cricket. So we have to work now with the people that we have, right? And to do that, we have to have a development process. So you cannot play for West Indies cricket having not played at least 25 first-class games. Let me say that, right? Having played 25.
You don't believe in fast tracking,
right? No, fast tracking.
Terry, you don't have to answer that question.
Yeah, but I don't answer because there's something that people don't understand about fast tracking. Fast tracking is you find it usually pull out the genius in people. Like you got a fella that's a genius and you bring me in and put me in early because he got all the tools, right? He got all the tools. He got limited flaws. He could operate at that level. You don't fast track a man because he scored 100 in first time in ever, and you just take him and put him inside that steam and leg open. I mean, like, what you expect he can do? He's not going to do anything.
If he does have beginner's luck, it will not take long before the opponents work him out.
Yeah, and once the people get video on you, and you'll see it over and over again. And man come in, he score 100, the people get some video after that. Next thing here, he can't score a run. The only time he score runs is if he's scoring his scoreboard. So we got to understand that our development process is back down in that middle tier place. You got the people that we're developing from the 13-year-olds and 15-year-olds, but then we got a group like between 15 and like 25 that we got to be able to, really work on those people to get them up to the standard that they're supposed to be at. And that's where we falling. Barbados is happy to thump the chest and say we've been all regional cricket and we've been this thing and we've been that thing. But when last we produced a top class batter? When last we produced a top class?
You see, that Terry, Philip, once again, a lot of food here is placed on the platter. But the thing is simple. If, as Terry stated, when last have we seen any emphasis on the 13, on the 15, on the 19 cricket? This is where, in fact, it was taken in the Caribbean some years ago, they had under 13 tournaments. They were tournaments under 13. So we were able to discover all those the King Bethel, the young boy Bethel now that who played for England. He was under 30 exposed in Barbados, then for the West Indies. And so the thing is that if Cricket West Indies does not recognize that our top tier is bad, and for us to repair and improve on the top tier, you then have to do something with the bottom. If you do not have your foundation, the roof will continue to collapse. And this is where we are at. Now, once again, they recognize that we have to do a double dip because we have international obligations. So we can't say we're going to stop and only concentrate on the building up. But we have to identify a cadre of players, 20 of the best of your seniors. And you have to say, but listen, you are the ones that come hell or high water, you are the ones that are playing senior because we have our international obligations. So we're going to practice. You are paid, they are all on the contract. It is not to say that they cannot get to cricket. They do not have enough money to pay a personal coach. They are all on the contract. So what it means now, that instead of them self-regulating themselves, that the bosses must say, well, listen, you show me what you are doing. And while you're doing that, then you are building up your reserves. You are exposing the people in the islands, the people in Trinidad, and Guyana, you name it. And from there, you have the under 15. And if you don't want to, under 30, under 15, under 17, because you can't move to under 19, because there's your next step, because we don't have under 23. So our under 19, by the time you get to under 19, Terry, you should be showing us that you are a good cricketer at test level, at first class level. You can't be telling me you're under 19 and we have I'm not going to call any players' names, but we have some juniors now wearing maroon, some juniors that, I mean, it is pathetic. It hurts to see a person, one man just made 50, and we said he arrived, and since he arrived, he left again because he got past thing. Because as Terry said, one score, because that's one thing about life. You're going to get that one opportunity and make a score, but then you're going to fall back. Because you do not have that prop behind you. So we are going to continue to talk about the cricketers, because for some reason we do not want to talk about the administration. But fortunately for me, I was an administrator of cricket. So I know what happens at the administrative level, what is expected, so that you can then make a demand on the persons coming up to produce. If there's no benchmark, or you love to use the term benchmark, Terry, you have to benchmark. Terry, if you do not benchmark, how are you going to set to know where you have arrived? And this is what we are doing. We don't have any sort of standards at all.
But Hartley, we may not have standards, but we certainly have examples that we can look at and see how we can modify them to help us. There was a former West Indies cricketer, a medium pacer. I believe that, and I don't say this to discredit him, but I believe even Hartley would not have been afraid to face him. He may be concerned about getting out, but he would not have been afraid of being injured. In other words, he was not quick. All right. And even Terry would have asked for a promotion from his number 11 position, because he would not have been afraid of the bowler. As I said, he would have a good chance of being dismissed, because this guy, medium pacer, played for West Indies and was ranked as high as, I believe, number 1, number 2 in the white ball in one international cricket. And I said to him on more than one occasion, Explain to me, and I may not use those exact words, how you were able to achieve this, given that a lot of people who get to that ranking are people who are household names, who are feared, etc., etc. I asked him this on at least 2 separate occasions, months, possibly years apart. On each occasion, he gave me the same response, and he said to me, "It's in the preparation." Okay? Why did I give you that long-winded story that I've probably given you before? England are about to play in the Ashes against Australia, and they've selected a team to take to Australia. But it didn't end there. We talk about not having preparation matches on tours nowadays. England's aware of this, and I think there are 1 or 2 matches scheduled, but they've taken their Lions team, what we would call the West Indies, the A team, and just yesterday they finished a match. I think the test side beat the A team by 5 wickets or something like that. And prior to the game, they said they're going hard at them. Okay? Preparation. But you're going to continually go. And we went to Australia. Lost the first test, won the second. We went to Pakistan, embarrassed the first test, won the second. You mean, then we can understand that with better preparation, you may have had a better outcome. But we have done nothing about it. What have we changed since then? We're in New Zealand. We're in New Zealand now, about to play a test series. Well, the one-day international series before that, we already played the T20 series and spectacularly lost that. The one-day series to follow, and then the test series. Where's the preparation? Do you think that the work put in Antigua is enough to deal with the pitches and the conditions in New Zealand, which, from what I've never gone to New Zealand, but from what I see and from what I've learned from others, the conditions in New Zealand you wouldn't find anywhere else in the world.
Listen, Mr. Philip Hackett.
I should say the cricketing world.
Mr. Philip Hackett.
Uh-huh.
You have now go to the top of the class. There is no way that West Indies picks as 15 to tour. And you do not for a month, a full 4 weeks in this region. Yeah, we have a home in Antigua. So you will pick another 15 to play against them, because we no longer get the warm-up matches on tours that you had years ago. That is why the West Indies always lose their first match, because they are not ready. So they take a full game, a full match to get match ready. You mean tell me we do not understand that before they leave the region, that we should bring all of them together and say, listen, I'm going to give you 5 matches. Whether if it's a test match, I'm going to give you 3 5-day matches or 3 4-day. And if it's ODIs, well, I can give you some. I will give you a 5 ODI games.
But Hartley,
so
I'm going further. I'm going further, Hartley. You got to take them to New Zealand with you. And if you don't get warm-up matches against New Zealand teams, you got to take them. And Hartley, if you tell me about money, I'm going to mute your mic.
But it can't be money. It can't be money. Because they have money. What you want to do is to ensure that you have Terry made the point, the proper allocation and the proper spending of the money. Or not, you could be Elon Musk. There was yes, all the money Elon Musk had.
You've got about 15 players who be named in the test squad, I would imagine, 14 or 15. Okay, it takes 22 to play a proper cricket match. All right. For a warm-up, you don't have to worry about who's going to be 12 man. So you've got 15 players that you're going to take anyhow. And I don't know that you will have to pay some New Zealand players who may be inactive. I don't mean the fellas from the top of the class. They're not necessarily going to be interested in you, but there got to be some fellas playing. Just like how in Barbados, we've got some good cricketers who will never play for Barbados, who will never play for West Indies, but they know they cricket. Okay? And they can bowl a good spell at you. So what I'm saying is, can it break the bank? Do you have to pay these guys $1 million to get the 4 extra guys and maybe take along 2 extras and pay 4 or 5 guys to make up a team and get some matches there where the conditions are a lot different from Antigua, from Barbados, from that's just one aspect of the preparation. But if the England side, I mean, if I said this, let's say before, people would probably say, well, Philip Hackett in practical at all. He always talking about the fusion. That may be true. There might be some truth in that. But the thing about it is that England doing it. And England is one of the top
England just
teams
sent
in the world.
England just sent Joshua Archer came down to Barbados and was training. And I hope that
you understand what I mean by high performance now? Joshua Archer is based in England. Yes, he's Barbadian and he's got a home here, but he's representing England. He's based out there. But he comes to Barbados to prepare for a tournament in Australia. I can go further. I can tell you, I won't call any names now, but I mean, there was a former England player who was supervising men.
But
high performance activity. Yeah, Terry.
So
I know you feel left out. I know you feel left out.
No, not really.
Hold
not
on,
really.
Hold on. But I don't want you to feel left out because I know when you feel left out, how that hurts. And you know, the last time you were left out, basketball benefited, but cricket lost an off spinner.
All right, ain't that bad no. I got a lot of options. I got a lot of options though. It's either get left out and get happy, or just get left out and laugh.
So I can make sure that you're not left out. So you have the floor.
Right. Yeah. So we all on the same page. But what I'm saying to you is, we gotta recognize the thing that is the thing that has me, you know, like is dumbfounded, right? Is that we got to recognize what is wrong and then try to have things to fix it, right? I don't think we put the things in place to fix it. One or two people will try things and will do things, but it should not be a one or two. It should be like a collective, right? I think if Barbados saying that they are one of the top playing cricketing nations in region, it got to start here. I ain't even think about Cricket West Indies because we dominated cricket despite Cricket West Indies before. I mean, the WICB or the CIBC or whatever they were, right? So it got to start with our local people. Our people got to understand, well, this is what it is. We have to put a fella up and don't be happy with a man scoring 30, got attach average of 30 and saying he played X amount of test matches and we can give, you know, a shop and a house and all sorts of things for 30. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like there gotta be more to that. It gotta be like, we gotta raise our standards. And we have to raise the standard of our thinking first. Not only standard of cricket, you have to be thinking. And once we do that, we can be okay. We can be okay because, you know, when you start getting a measure of success at the international level, somebody can say, well, look, you know, we really got to look at this because they are doing this and they are doing that, and they might try to follow. But if you're going to be flung around just like everybody else, right? And you winning in a mediocre cricket, no one is following you with that because really and truly, there's no, like, you know, there's a distance between you and the other people, right? And I think that's where we got to go. We got to start, and first thing we got to do is educate our coaches in analysis and doing things differently, right? And understanding that there's a world that we operate in. We are not operating in the 80s or 70s. We operating in the 21st century. People using AI, people using, you know, video, people using reverse osmosis if you want, right? You understand? People using other things. But it can't be that we go on still using, like, a fella coming at cricket at 5 o'clock from work and hitting and buying to 5:30 minutes, say get dark, and then you expect that same man to play for Barbados and then to play for West Indies and expect that he will perform. That gone, those days are gone. And if you don't know that, then we be in trouble forever.
Gentlemen, the competition starts on Wednesday, November the 19th. They play on the 19th, the 21st, the 23rd, 25th, and the 27th. I don't know who wants to go first, but I'm going to ask your hopes and or expectations for the 2025 Super 50.
Well, I will start. I don't have any.
Seeing that, I am seeing it. Go ahead, again.
Right.
Well,
I don't have any. I am just going to look at it. Because I am be honest with you, I don't see anything that will change. I don't see anything changing. It's just it will play, and some people will score runs, some people will not, and we will continue.
So those are your expectations or your hope?
Yes.
Okay, so that's your expectation.
Yeah.
What is your hope?
Well, what is my hope? My hope is that every batter score, but they're playing 5 games, every batter score over 500 runs, and every bowler get,
you want to be serious, Terry. To be serious, Terry.
So you ready? Do you want Darren Sammy, your sole selector, now to really admit that he needs some help? Because if all the fellas scoring 500 runs and everybody getting a bundle of kids, how is he going to pick this team? Anyhow, Hartley, your hopes and expectations.
Listen, well, being a 100% Barbadian, my hope is that we perform. But we are starting wrong because we have chosen Craig Brathwaite, a person that I love like a son. But we have chosen Craig Brathwaite to play.
Well, he might divorce you as a parent when he's finished when he hears this.
Well, no, not the.
Some years ago you had this issue of children divorcing their parents. But carry on.
Yes, the parent.
You must learn to ignore me, Hartley.
When you made the point earlier, well, no, I can't ignore you. You made a statement earlier in this program where you cannot find the chairman of selectors. Because I would have hoped that if you had found him and you could have pinned him down, you would have asked him the first question: what was the rationale in picking Craig Brathwaite?
Since we revisited that, Hartley, let me say that I thought that I was on a blacklist, and this is why I couldn't find these people. But then I realized then that there is a highly esteemed, if you use that term, a member of the media as well, locally, regionally, and even with some international acclaim, who's been having a similar problem where the chairman of the selectors is concerned. So then I had to rethink, and maybe it's not me being blacklisted, it's just guys who are not taking their role seriously. Anyway, you were saying.
Okay.
Yes, but once again, depending on if they are playing, once again, they are playing 5 games, but how many day and night match? Only one day and night match?
I will have to check the picture to see that.
Yes, but because once again, it's dependent on what type of game they are playing. Because if they are playing or most of the or their matches starting at 10, I have no problem there because Queen's Park is not going to change. The Brand Love is not going to change. But if they're playing day and night and they're playing the pink ball, I honestly don't have much hope for them because depending the pink ball, it depends on who bats first, who bats in the daylight.
Yeah, I think I think you're probably correct. I just did a quick check of the Barbados team and the Ghana side, and they're both playing one night game each. So that may very well be the pattern as such, that the mostly day games for everybody, but everybody gets a touch of the night cricket. Or the day-night cricket, because it's starting
that being but if we are playing 4 day games, I am going to stick my neck out and say Barbados is going to win.
Okay. I'll talk about Barbados winning. The Barbados captain, the current Barbados captain, is the same captain who took the Barbados side to the playoffs last time, and then he disappeared, and Rifa came in and ended up in the hot seat, so to speak. Now we've got the same captain again. Can you turn the light on that? I don't know. You've got a captain who was not with the team at crunch time because he went to, well, I don't know if the pastures were greener or what color they were, but he went elsewhere. And this year you've got the same captain again. I don't know. How do you read that? What do you read into that, if anything?
Do you know which club the chairman of selectors, Barbados, and the captain belong to?
Terry, I think I will go back to you because I rather deal with Terry's court than to end up in a different type of court.
Well, no, but you asked me my opinion.
Okay,
no, not that, because he is the most senior of all of them now.
No, we're not questioning. I'm not questioning his ability to lead. Okay, I'm looking that's not an issue at all. I wouldn't even go there. I'm simply looking at a situation where I have asked Terry to look after a group of people for me for a period of time, and Terry looks after them for part of that time, and then leaves them on their own because a better
that is
offer
bad
comes in.
management.
I would not ask Terry. I would not. Harley, let's. It might be a bad scenario, a bad example, but I know that you know about children and so on. You can leave your children with a babysitter. Come back and find the babysitter gone. You can use that babysitter again.
But you see, the whole issue is that is cricket. It is our cricket. Our cricket has no. They're not saying they have the standards.
Uh-huh.
Same thing.
No, some may say that it was known beforehand that the young man had other business to attend to. But then that comes back to the fault of the Cricket Association, the selectors.
Why make a captain then? Exactly. You know he has to leave. Why make a captain?
You know, and I remember I'm one of those people who I'm very happy that the career of a cricketer no longer depends on 3 men in a room or 1 man for that matter. All right, and that there are options with franchise cricket, etc., etc. But I'm also a man who takes my responsibilities very seriously. Okay, and it is one thing to be part of a group. There's another thing to be the leader of that group. There's a reason why I don't know. I'm not into maritime affairs, but I've always heard that the captain is the last to get off of the sinking ship. There's a reason for that.
Unless it's Titanic and leaving the band to come off land.
Sorry?
Unless it's Titanic and leaving the band to come off land.
But there's a reason why we have that mindset that the captain is whether it happens or not. There's a reason why we have to suggest that the leader has a responsibility above and beyond.
Yeah, I don't think that's the argument. That'd be an argument. It's just a matter of managing and a matter of understanding how it look, like just understanding
the optics,
dynamics, and that sort of stuff. Now, if you pick a group and you know that X person will not be there for the duration of the tournament, don't make him captain. He can still give instructions on the field. He can still help the other captain. He can still do it until he's ready to leave. Right? I mean, if he's not captain, then he can't say anything. He could help the captain go along, and he will work and work and work. But I find we do everything contrary to
common sense.
Well, I don't want to say common sense.
Sorry, good judgment.
That might be calling people stupid, right? But
okay, I wouldn't want to do that.
But I wouldn't want to do that. I'm just saying that.
Well, thanks for that correction.
Yeah, we don't. I don't think we take two things to the logical end, and it's happening in all spheres of life in the Caribbean. We don't take two things in the logical end. What is going to happen at the end? You know, understand how it will look, how it can affect the rest of the teammates. You make a man captain, you might left midway through the tournament or just before you make playoffs, and another fellow pick it up and go. The next year, the man's captain again, the man that pick it up, and you don't even think he's in this team.
Well, no, my understanding is that he's elsewhere. He's elsewhere. He made some other choices. Yeah.
Right.
So I've been told.
Right. So, but what I'm saying is, like, I don't think that we really understand how group dynamics work and how molding a group and how players interact with one another and how to get the best out of people. We gotta understand that. If you understood that, we would try and develop some of our players better. I just got one thing to tell, right? One thing. In Nepal, 2 people open batting. We say 3. I think it's 3 when they look. I think we choose 3 experienced players to Nepal along with like 18 set of people that were there and thereabouts, right? Yeah. And we opened the batting against Nepal. And one of the experienced people who got more than 50 T20 games playing opened with a fellow that got 0 or 1 T20 game. Oh. And he allowed that young player to face the first ball. I mean, like, there's no part of the world, the only place in the world that will happen is the West Indies. I cannot see somebody like let me call an opener. Somebody like
Let me help you a bit, Terry. What do you think about that some more? We had a Masters game going back quite a few years at Kensington, and Greenwich and Haynes were part of that Masters game, and they came out to open the batting. And if I remember correctly, Haynes ran ahead, and he did what he needed to do to make sure that he could face the first ball. And when he was asked about it, he made a comment that something along this line that he could never face the first ball when he was opening with Greenwich at the international level, maybe even for Barbados. So this was his chance to do that. So assuming that he was very serious about that, and those of us who were following the cricket, Greenwich always faced the first ball. And certainly Haynes was not a rookie, but he was a rookie when he first came in, but he wasn't a rookie throughout his career. But Greenwich, number one, took the responsibility of facing the first ball. So
yeah.
if you still need to find another example, you can look for it. But
Yeah, but I mean that's a simple thing. I mean, like, that is not hard. That ain't like something that you're gonna go on, you know, like date a month to find. That is a simple thing. Two people opening batting, one got more experience than the other one. The man with the most experience will face the first ball. Let the fellow get some jitters out at the non-striker's aim. You understand? You're gonna put him right in the middle of things. I don't know how that will help him. Even if he scores, how that can help him.
The best phenomenon. Sink or swim.
Yeah, you're probably out there, you hope for the best. I literally, no pun intended. All right, you hope for the best, and then if they swim, oh, wonderful. If they don't, oh, there you're gonna go and pelt the donut and make sure they don't draw. Right? You know what I mean? Like, it's I don't get it. I don't ever get it.
Well, hopefully by time
Gentlemen, we have not, our dialogue this evening has not said very much at all for the future of West Indies cricket, because it is clear.
I didn't give you my hopes and expectations, so I don't know where you fit in.
Yeah. I apologize, sir. Let me hear what you hoping and expecting.
I hope that we can get our act together.
I think I concur. I concur. I go over that too.
I wouldn't share my expectations in this forum. Gentlemen, thanks for joining. We're gonna do this again soon because we've got the Test series coming up, and we've also got the Ashes, and you know the Ashes are probably the biggest event in Test cricket nowadays. So we're gonna do this again soon, sooner than some of you think. So thanks for joining, and we will chat again sooner rather than later.
Okay.
Have a good evening.
Yes.
Bye.
And to those who took the trouble to watch the show, hope you enjoyed it, and we invite you to join us again when we meet again for another episode of Anything Cricket Let's Talk.